Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 12th program in our leadership interview series. My name is Tom Byrne. I'm the president and CEO of the Korea Society. Gene Yoon, also known in Korean as Yoon Soo Yoon, is the chairman of the board of the Italian sportswear company FILA Holdings Corporation, and American golf product company Acushnet Holdings Corporation, which owns the Titleist and FootJoy trademarks. He not only introduced FILA to the Korean market in 1991, but he also restored the brand's global popularity after having acquired the brand in 2007. In today's interview, we will learn about Chairman Yoon's amazing story of self-made success and the resurrection of FILA as a popular global brand. So, Gene, let's start with your education. How did your education prepare you for your career in the fashion and sports equipment industry?
Looking back, my 20s, it was important for me to overcome various obstacles and build a survivor's mentality. The Korean economy was on the verge of the explosive growth through the traditional international trade and exports. So for me, being able to communicate in English was very critical. Mm-hmm. And of course, my Katusa means Korean augmentation to the United States Army experience helped me develop the ability to do so. Then I decided to get into the international trade scene by working in the sales department of a company that was trying to export various products to the overseas market, which laid the foundation of my interest in the retail business. I worked for the Korean branch office of the JCPenney Purchasing Corporation in 1970. Then I became an export director at the Korea-based footwear manufacturer Corp in the early 1980s. I learned plenty of valuable lessons by having to deal with various difficulties and finding solutions, which helped me develop my passion for entrepreneurship.
Right. And your education, if I remember right, you went to Seoul High School, and then in college you went to Hanguk Foreign
University
Language.
of the Foreign Studies.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
And your major when you were in college?
I studied, political science.
Okay.
Obviously, political science, that was not the first choice that I really wanted to study. Originally, I really wanted to be a medical doctor.
A medical doctor.
I tried to, get into the Seoul National, medical course, Seoul National University, but I failed twice. So
well, I think things turned out very well for your FILA journey, and okay, well that's interesting.
Yes.
How life, the twists and turns of life. Well, so you were at J.C. Penney for how long did you work at J.C. Penney?
I worked for J.C. Penney just about 7 years.
And that was in the
started from the 1973.
1973.
Through the later part of the 1970s, 79, 80.
Right.
The year that I left at Penny Purchasing Corporation.
That's right, when Korea was taking off economically in the 1970s, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Well, your timing was good on that then. And so how did your FILA journey begin? I mean, how did you become connected to FILA, and how did you establish FILA in Korea?
During the 1980s, I had the privilege of being associated with the FILA brand by exporting FILA branded footwear from the Korea to the overseas. Where there was a strong government emphasis on international trade and exports. Mm-hmm. At that time, my focus was on building the brand value and recognize the significant opportunity to promote the FILA footwear in the United States market. with the support of the gentleman's name, the home artist, who used to live in the, Baltimore, Rightestown,
Right.
who was running the FILA footwear license business in the North America market. I was able to successfully supply the FILA, footwear products distributed in the USA market at the time. With my successful debut in the US market, I had the opportunity to speak with the FILA, headquarters in Italy about running the FILA business in as a subsidiary in Korea market.
Mm-hmm.
I was keen to prove myself and establish the brand in Korea. So in 1991, I led the FILA entry into South Korea, the foundation of the FILA Korea, established by the FILA Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forwarding in 2005, I achieved, management independence through a management buyout. And then I took over global FILA business via leveraged buyout. And then just a year after being listed on the Korean Stock Exchange market 2010, FILA Group acquired Acushnet, which you might be familiar with as the name behind the Titleist and FootJoy. And 2016, FILA Group became the controlling shareholder of the Acushnet Holdings. The resurgence of the FILA brand can be attributed in part to the rising popularity of the sneakers named Disruptor.
Right.
However, our goal is continuous evolvement and expansion globally. Mm-hmm. FILA has successfully partnered with trendy, high-end fashion brands such as Fendi and Haider Ackermann, and has been, made a monumental stride at the Milan Fashion Week. Furthermore, we also announced our 5-year, global strategy, Winning Together, which outlines our financial and operational aspiration up to 2026.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think part of this winning together strategy, this 5-year global strategy, you're incorporating ESG, environmental, social, governance considerations. Mm-hmm. I understand in 2020, FILA Holdings put out a sustainability report. Can you tell us something about how the Korean market and the U.S. market are approaching ESG and how that affects FILA?
Our objective is to ensure global consistency in both FILA product and marketing activities. We aim to be transparent with our stakeholders in every part of our governance structure while pursuing sustainable growth. FILA 5-year strategy is built on the 3 main pillars. First, building the brand tribe. FILA seeks to build a community centered around its brand by the revamping its identity through the seamless integration of product and marketing initiative on the global scale, ultimately elevating its brand value to its full potential. Next, customer centricity. FILA striving to connect with our customers through every possible point of contact, both online and offline. And last but not least, the sustainability. This involves creating a solid foundation for the company's long-term growth with a more concrete R&D and ESG investment. Since our 5-year strategy announcement last year, we have undertaken significant reorganization of our operation. We have brought on board industry-leading, figures with a vast experience in the product and the marketing field. Also, we have expanded our partnership with prominent individuals and brands that align with our vision of becoming a leading premium lifestyle sports brand. It's crucial that we pursue the objectively through the sustainable management practice in ensuring our commitment to both financial and social responsibility. That's what we mean by winning together.
Right. Winning together, right.
Yes.
In your marketing, I mean, FILA is a global brand.
Yes.
Is there one global marketing strategy, or do you have to market for different countries? Do you have separate, like,
we have a kind of value to try to make the kind of our brand globally. I think it is inevitable to try to have the consistency in both product and
Right.
marketing.
Okay.
One marketing strategy. We are trying to reorganize, all the in terms of the manpower that we have, and plus, in terms of the product development concern, we are trying to
Right.
bring the kind of innovative idea,
Right.
try to feed some fresh, image of the product that we really supplying to the customers. That's the main, really focusing point. So we really invited a lot of, long time, industry experts on board. I think, with all those kind of, restructuring, I think we will definitely make the turnaround pretty soon.
Where are these industry experts from? Are they experts based in Korea? Are they based in the U.S.? Are they based
I
in
think they're
Europe?
mostly two way that we trying to do. We trying to build up some of the new group of the experts in the European side and USA side.
Right.
Obviously, some local base, even Korea. So if you look at the total international, structure that we have in the global, three different pillars of the organization in terms of product development as well as the marketing concern. Europe means Italy, and U.S. and Korea. So I think that creates a lot of internal traveling issues.
Right.
People
right.
has to really to promote that communication. We have to really see and meeting all those things happening.
Right. So your famous disruptor sneaker, I call it a sneaker,
Sneaker.
right?
Yes.
That's popular globally.
Yes.
No matter what country you sell it in.
Yes, that's one of the singles, footwear that we have been extremely successful, in the history of the FILA.
Right.
Sports
I
brand.
was talking to one of my staff today, and she has a pair of Disruptor. She says they're very, very good shoe. So we'll put in a plug for the Disruptor.
It's good. Still selling, still, one of the 10 item currently, most selling among the, so many different styles that we carrying globally.
Right.
Yes.
And in your marketing, how important are global brand ambassadors? You have, I mean, a number of very famous athletes who are your brand ambassadors. You have the 5-time Wimbledon tennis champion.
Yes.
And then you also had the National Basketball Association Hall of Famer Grant Hill. I mean, are these critical for really pushing the marketing and pushing sales?
It is very, very important.
Right.
To work with, renowned, sports athletes.
Right.
To really, expanding our value inside of the customers. So our strategy is to establish FILA as a premium lifestyle brand with a focus on the slogan, without beauty, there is no performance.
Right. And you have
This-
some celebrities, some beautiful
Yes.
celebrities who push these.
Yes,
Right.
this is a very important activity that we have.
Yeah. I've never heard that slogan before. Without beauty, there is no performance. I've heard the Imaging Cocoa slogan of the heiress for a perfume. You cannot separate image from essence, but
Right.
without beauty, there is no performance. It's a good slogan. Okay, very catchy marketing.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, that slogan has been really stemmed from the fact that, our one of the most famous brand ambassador
Right.
named, Byrne.
Right.
He is a known, professional tennis player, containing both, beauty as well as a performance, because he's the, one of the most, famous, tennis player who won 5-time, championship from at the, Wimbledon.
Right. He won the
Tennis
Wimbledon
championship.
tennis championship back in 1975, 5 times.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's some achievement.
Yes.
How would you characterize the sportswear and the fashion market right now? What are the challenges that you're facing in continuing your promotion of FILA as a global brand?
As with any corporate, I think the FILA, recognize the impact of the global economic challenge currently. However, we remain, committed to our strategy and vision, even during the difficult time, to mitigate the, potential risk. FILA, focuses on diversifying our business areas and supply chains, proactively identify both challenges, opportunity at the same time. Although unexpected challenges are inevitable, we strive to find the best solution, uphold our values. Throughout our more than a century existence in the business, we have persevered through some of the, world's toughest challenges. Because of the long standing, in the business, we will continue to innovate and attract the top talents while upholding our mission of, making a positive impact with our vision winning together.
So I noticed that you were the commencement speaker at Seoul National University's 66th graduation ceremony, and you also won the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 2012. So what messages do you have for entrepreneurs striving for success, particularly young entrepreneurs?
As someone values in it, suppose the incubation of the future entrepreneur, I found great pleasure in sharing some of the key insight with the younger generation. I have shared 7 key insights that they could consider as they strive for success in their future. Number 1, embrace failure as an essential part of the learning process. Second, learn modesty, patience, grit, sincerity through the experience of the failure. Approach problems with creativity, innovation based on past experiences. Number 4, embrace spirit of the challenge and utilize it to drive your entrepreneurial endeavors. 5th, emphasize the importance of the honesty and sincerity and good fortune. 6th, acknowledge the fortune often favors those who demonstrated honesty and sincerity. Seventh, finally, always conduct yourself with fairness and integrity. I believe these insights can be useful to the younger generation, and I hope that they find it helpful as they pursue their own success.
The very good guideposts.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
very. I could see this is what helps explain the success of FILA. FILA was the brand started in, I think, in 1911 in a town called Biella, if I'm pronouncing it right, in the Italian Alps. How often do you go back there to Biella in Italy? Is this when you travel to Europe, do you always stop there? Is it
Yes, in terms number of traveling to the Italy in my life, I think more than 150 times.
okay?
But that's the number of the traveling to the Italy, much less than the travel to United States. I made the travel more than
Right,
10 times more than
right,
Italian trip
right.
to the United States.
And you're you've been recognized as a hero in Italy, right? You have an Order of Merit from the Italian Republic. So
Mhm.
Italy is grateful for your resurrection of the brand, the Italian brand, into a global brand, right?
Yes, it was a great honor to be recognized
Hmm.
by the city of the Biella, where the
Hmm.
FILA brand was founded in 1911.
Right.
As a Korean, small businessman, I
Hmm.
think it was a tremendous honor in my life.
Hmm.
Uh, Obviously, Italian government gave kind of special merit,
Hmm.
which is Cavalier merit.
Hmm.
The Republic of Italy.
Right. Right.
That
Yes.
was another uh, honorable things that I received, recognized by the Italian people.
Right. Well, you certainly earned it and deserved it. That's for sure. You're a self-made man. You created this global brand, FILA. You resurrected it, and you have this great vision for your company.
I think that one of the point they start recognizing the value that I made it.
Hmm.
I don't know whether you remember or not, but Fila brand started only with the apparel product line.
Hmm.
Obviously, I am one of the guys who really made your contribution to adding up the footwear product line to
Hmm.
apparel line, along with working along with the American
Right.
footwear licensee, whose
Right.
name is Home Arts that I mentioned just before.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the point I think Italian government or the Italian people appreciating what I did for
Hmm.
Italy.
Right. Right. And you've done more too, because I read somewhere in some article about you. You've gone from dad shoes to golf balls because now you have Acushnet as part of the Fila Holdings.
I think that you talk about the size of the business. You mean?
No, product expansion. You went from apparel to footwear,
Uh,
and then also to golf, sporting.
uh, yeah, first, obviously, I started, with the filler, but after I made a kind of leverage buyout with the global trademark right of the filler.
Right, right,
After 3 to 4 years later, I made a kind of success acquiring Acushnet company,
hmm,
which is one of the top golf equipment
right,
company in the
right,
world. That was another big really jump up in my
right.
career in the
Hmm.
business. I think.
Yes, it
Yeah.
certainly has. For those who weren't familiar with Fila, I think a lot of people know what Titleist golf ball is here in the United States. So
Yes.
that's a great brand.
Yes.
You're on the board of directors of the Korea Society, and the Korea Society is now 66 years old. It was established in 1957 in New York City by General James A. Van Fleet, who was the longest serving commander during the Korean War. So the Korea Society aims to strengthen the ties between the people of Korea and America. Where should we focus our efforts in the future to further this mission, to build ties between Korea and the U.S.?
Today, I think the Korea Society has achieved a tremendous amount of, really progress toward the objective of the fostering of the greater awareness of understanding, cooperation between the people of the two countries, United States and Korea. That's for sure. Korea Society has been actively pursuing this mission long before the rise of the Korean wave. Mutual understanding is crucial in combating discrimination and establishing a strong foundation for cooperation. I'm convinced that Korea Society, has the potential to achieve mutual, success for many years to come. I am really proud of. I am a part of the gentleman of the activities, of the Korea Society. But as I mentioned, I was so much, to taking care of my business.
Right.
I didn't have that much of, time to spend actually for Korea Society. I feel very much, so feeling sorry all the time. But still, Korea Society still vividly living in my heart. My love is with Korea Society.
Well, that's great to
No
hear.
question about
Well,
that.
any businessman's time is the most valuable commodity. So we certainly appreciate, your coming here this afternoon. And I have to say, every year we have a golf tournament at Baltusrol, the legendary historical golf course. And of course, FILA is one of our preeminent sponsors for this
Thank you.
perennially. So we appreciate your support that you give to the Korea Society. Thank you.
Thank you.